Welcome to the Making Sense of Marketing video series, where we look to educate and inspire people with their marketing. Now, Arrow Wheels specialise in the repair of alloy wheels, along with a custom manufacture of alloy wheels to order. The owner of the business, Lance Bell, has invited us to come and take a look at his business. So let's go meet with Lance and see what we can learn. Welcome back to Making Sense of Marketing. We're today with Lance and Sam from Arrow Wheels to catch up with them and find out how they get on with their email marketing. Well, thanks guys for letting me come back. I'm really interested to see how you got on with the email marketing course. So Sam, I understand that you ended up being delegated the job of doing the course.
Yeah, that's right.
And how did that come about?
Probably because I've got slightly more time than Lance has to do it.
And how was it for you doing the course?
It was really good, really good.
Yeah,
it was great. It was very easy to follow.
So for you, was it beneficial having it broken down into small videos? Did that help at all?
Absolutely, much easier and much more doable if you didn't have to think you had to sit there and watch, 2 hours of video. You could watch a 15-minute chunk.
Right.
Go back and rewatch it if you didn't quite get it the first time.
Yeah.
It was really easy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, one of the things too we want from doing it that way is that if at a later date you think, I can't remember how to do a particular thing, you can go track down that video and get the answer. Whereas if it's in a series of long videos, then you've got to, unless they have the timing on it, you've got to scroll through, which again, could take you a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good. So for you though, how would you describe yourself? Are you sort of technologically quite skilled or a bit more of a novice?
Definitely a novice, definitely, right. Yeah, I'm not very good at all. Okay,
so given your background, was it too technical for you or was it something you could manage?
No, it was great, and it was great because you had a lot of content on specifics, how to move your database, how to do different things, that even someone like myself that knows nothing about it, I could just look up the video, watch it, do that, and then move on with the next part of the course.
Yeah, so we tried to kind of walk you through it step by step so that you can be in your account and actually do it when we're doing it on the video.
Yes, yeah.
To make it easier for you. So was there anything really that you struggled with the course? Anything you found difficult?
Probably the course itself was great. It was more just the whole database, because it was such an old database and had a lot of dead contacts in there. I think that was probably not even difficult, just a bit more challenging.
And time consuming, I would imagine too. And that's one of the positives, as much as it's a challenge in the beginning, it's one of the positives that comes out of it, is it forces you to go through and cull your database and keep it up to date. So it's a good discipline because there's no point in having contacts if they're old and redundant. So it really forces you to do a good cleanup.
Yes.
But it can be daunting, especially if you've got a few thousand contacts.
Definitely.
To then go through that. So I would imagine for a lot of people that will be one thing that will hold them back. But from your point of view though, is it worth it?
Absolutely. I think once you start and you can get that cleaned out, it just makes such a big difference to have it all concise and how it should be. Yeah. Rather than this big mess like it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for you, Lance, I know that you've seen some of the emails that have been created having completed the course. What's your initial impressions of the emails?
They were pretty simple, pretty easy. Yeah, pretty easy to sort of look at.
And the look and feel of the emails, did that meet expectations? Do they look professional? Are they a good representation of your business?
Oh, they certainly look professional. They certainly look great. Yeah.
And do you see that it's something that you could make a way of life for you guys with your business to actually incorporate sending out emails?
Oh, I think so. I think it's another stepping stone forward, definitely with the emails. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what I want to do now is I want to just jump onto your account and let's take a look just to see what you've managed to achieve so far.
Interesting.
So we'll just log in here. Okay, so this is your account. Now, so what we can see if we go down here and look at your emails that you've been sending out. Let's say if we go through here. And so this first one we're looking at here is your initial email. Now what you did have was a situation where, as much as you culled some of your emails, you still actually had quite a few that no longer work. Now, just for anyone doing email marketing, platforms such as MailChimp, they don't like seeing a lot of their emails bounce. In other words, the emails don't work, because they don't want to be perceived to be responsible for spam. So wherever possible, really strongly recommend people clean their database up as much as possible before loading it in and sending their first email. Because if you get a high bounce rate, then potentially the provider, such as MailChimp, can actually freeze your account and probably give you some strong words of advice to make sure it's not an ongoing problem. Now, in your case, it's not about spam, it's just about the fact that some emails have become redundant or out of date. So what we can see here, though, if we look at your numbers, is that we had a total of, let me see here, this one here. This is your first email. So this first email here, the purpose of that was just to say hello to people, and what you've done there is you have just told them about fun projects that you do, and that's great. I think with your first email, particularly when you're part of what you're doing is actually testing your emails, don't try and sell them anything.
No.
Just send them a nice general email, which is what you've done. But what we can see of your emails that worked, you had 370 opens. Now we'll just wait for that to change, but that was over a 50% open rate.
Right.
Which is great. And bearing in mind that some of those emails actually have since been culled, that was a pretty good first step. You didn't have any clicks on any links, but that's to be expected because you weren't asking anyone to do that. You were just telling them about what you're up to. There was a link there I could see for people to contact you, but there wasn't any real call to action. So, over 50% is great. So having a look into your account, I can see it was at 51.4%. You then have broken your group up into small groups, which is great. I think it's really good over time if you identify unique subsets of your database. What you can then do is give them a different tag and then do different campaigns to target them. For argument's sake, you might have car dealers in the South Island. So you want to do a special promotion just to car dealers in the South Island. So you put a tag for car dealers in the South Island and you do that, just as an example. But what you've done here is then you've done an email to everyone where you're talking about what does Arrow Wheels do differently. And you've embedded that great video that you've got in that. So I can see here in your first email that you did, you got a 48% open rate. So nearly 50% of the people actually opened your email. And that's really good. Like statistically, in terms of a campaign, you're kind of expecting anything from 15 to 20%, 25% open rate. So 15 to 25% open rate. So putting that in context, these two emails we've seen so far, you're at 48% and 51%. So you've got a high level of open rate right from the get-go.
People love wheels, mate, see that?
People love wheels. Now, your click was 1.5%, which, again, you're kind of looking at industry guidelines. Depends on the industry, but as a broad sort of guide, anything from 1.5% to 2.5%. So it's there. It's not amazing, but it's still there. And again, you're only just starting, so it's a really great start. And then we come up to your next group. Now it looks like you divided your groups up into groups of 200. So I think it was pretty random, wasn't it? You didn't. There's no science. You just randomly divided them up into 200. So the next one, you had a lower open rate at 27.2%, which is not bad. Not as good as the previous one, but not bad. But then your click rate went up to 2.1%. You got 4 people clicked on your video. So interesting, isn't it? You actually got a better click rate, but a lower open rate.
That's interesting.
And it would be interesting to then go look at that group of 200 and see what's different about that makeup compared to the others. Now this is your third one here. Again, another 200 people. You got a 41.9%, so nearly 42%, which is fantastic open rate. And then you got a 1.6% click-through rate, which again is fine. It's not amazing, but it's still a great start. And then we go through to your fourth group, where you've got a 37.3% open rate, but interesting, you got a 5.6%
Wow.
click rate. So that's huge. And if we look in terms of numbers, that's 7 different clicks on your video.
Right.
You know, the great thing about this is that you get to learn all this. And what I mean by that is you actually get to see how well is your emails going. And we can actually go in and click and see who actually opened those emails as well. And you can drill down and find out that information. But as a start, you know, that's a great start. If you can be sending out emails, and this is part of this process for you has been to tidy up your database. So I would expect over time your percentage rates to improve as the quality of your database improves. And now I think from talking to you, you've gone through and looked at the activity level with each of your contacts, and those with a 1 star you've removed. So that will help you in terms of getting the higher percentage rates.
Yes, yeah.
But it just gives you a bit of an idea of what you can achieve. And I mean, I know with COVID, you really haven't had a chance to do much with the program yet, so you haven't got a regular email program going. But I guess with me giving you some idea on the stats, what's your feeling now, knowing a little bit more about what these numbers actually mean?
It looks great. Looks awesome.
Well, it's quite exciting in a way to see all the information quite clearly there. It looks great. Like you say, you get more into it when you start playing with it and investigating more into it. Yeah.
And the thing with it is that you can experiment too.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to experiment. That's the thing, you know. Just because you haven't had a lot of experience at doing this, shouldn't put you off too much.
Don't be
just be prepared to have a try.
Yeah.
Have a go and just take note of what works and what doesn't. You know, do people respond better when you do an email on, you know, your latest project versus an email on something else? Another thing though I would say though is, you know, always go for quality over quantity. And I guess just to that end, there's a few tips that I would like to give you for your content. And that the first thing would be, you know, as I said, go for quality over quantity. You're much better to email people less frequently, but send them great emails.
Yeah.
If they're great emails, people will open them. If you bombard them with emails and the quality drops, then people will turn off to them and they'll probably unsubscribe. So as much as you might read in the literature to maybe, you know, send emails twice a week at that to keep top of mind, look, it all depends on the industry. It all depends on what you're doing. For you guys, you don't have the content to be doing that twice a week, and it would, in my opinion, over time do more harm than good.
Yes.
I think if you can keep it to maybe twice a month would be nice. I think that would be manageable for you. And I think that through doing that, you'll have great quality and people will react to it. And as you said before, Lance, you've got a great story to tell. You know, what you do, people love wheels, and you can show it in videos, you can show it in photos. You know, you can even do something where you just get your iPhone and do some recording of the latest project coming out of a machine or something. You know, whatever, but just don't be afraid to, not all your videos have to be super professional either.
No.
People will just enjoy getting little snippets of some cool things that you're doing.
Certainly, and natural, just as natural, 15 seconds, that's all you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The next tip is don't try and directly sell with each email. Don't make each email about, you know, contact me now to buy, or, you know, to book your wheels to be fixed. Also make it about, as we talked about in our last meeting, you know, being informative, being educational with people. If you always make it about selling, again, it'll turn people off. You want to build their trust, their confidence, build their interest, and you can do that by just sending them out, you know, informative emails, which may not be necessarily directly related to you either. You might be, you know, tips for them around gardening because it's coming into spring or something, or whatever you feel works with your demographic, you know, but you just don't want to be perceived as you're always trying to sell.
No.
But you do want to remind them that who you are and what you do. And that's, when you do your emails, it's really good that you consistently convey the key messages of what your brand stands for. Now, I think in one of your emails, you know, that I had a look at, we talked about that previously, and what you've done is you've put the bullet points of what what is the defining difference between Arrow Wheels and the competition out there? Those sort of things are really important to consistently convey. You can convey that in an email that's not trying to sell them anything, but it's still important to consistently convey it. And your video also helps to convey that. But to build a brand, to build something that people will recognise and believe in, you want to be consistently telling those same, key points to the brand. So do that wherever possible. The next thing is look to add value to clients by being helpful and informative, and I touched on that just before. Don't make it all about yourself. Also think about your clients and you're wanting to connect with them. So by being informative like that, they'll come to trust you and you'll become their only option when they need your service. 5, use videos and photos as much as possible for obvious reasons. People are lazy. We don't want to read too much text if we can get away with it, and you don't need to with what you've got. Just some before and after photos, a short video, a bit of text, but keep it fairly light on text and emphasize more the visuals. And 6, mark it on your calendar and commit to it. As I've said, you're better to commit to something that's practical. So if you can only do once a month, realistically, but you can sustain once a month, then do once a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing worse than you start out with all the enthusiasm in the world. You go, right, I'm going to do it twice a week because I've read that in an article. You must do it twice a week. And I promise you in a month's time, you'll be over it. You'll be done. You'll be like, we don't know what on earth to do now.
Yes,
We're out of ideas and it's becoming a chore. I actually don't enjoy it anymore. I don't want to do it. I'm done. Whereas if you, put into place something that's realistic and maybe it's twice a month, then hopefully you actually look forward to it and not see it so much as a chore. And there's no reason why it can't be fun. It can't actually be fun doing some of this. And you guys are passionate about wheels and what you can do with them, sharing that passion in an email.
Well, if your day work is jobs come in every day, and you can see, well, hey, this will be good on the video, this will be good on the video, this will be good on the video, and prompt the staff to help you as well.
And that's a great idea, and that is a really great idea, is to really encourage staff to take photos, have a way in which to collect it all, or videos, as the case may be, so that you've got them there, and then when the opportunity arises, actually capitalise on an email. But that is one of those things, is you really need to encourage your staff to have their smartphones there, and then
mine do that all the time.
In the moment, take some photos.
They're great.
And when you've got a quiet moment, flick it through to your email or whatever.
Yeah, they send that to me all the time. Actually,
that's great.
It's really, really good, because I might not be there, or the customer comes in and sees it, and they get satisfied too because they've done such a good job. Yeah, it's great.
So, what if anything is there that's going to potentially hold you back from now going forward and really adopting email marketing as being part of your way of life? Is there any other impediments that would stop you now?
I don't really think so.
No,
to be honest.
I honestly don't think so either. I think we've come a little bit, seen what's available, and I think it's fine.
And do you get my point though? Just don't put too much pressure on yourself. You'd be better off to start infrequently and do it once a month and then build up to say twice a month than to go the other way and just be so enthusiastic, burn out your enthusiasm, and then it all falls by the wayside. So just be realistic with what you can do and fit it in. And see it not as a chore.
Yeah.
No, I think that's fine. Yeah.
So we kind of need to make like a list of topics to.
Absolutely, and I think the thing is, ideally, maybe wall calendar is not the right thing for you, whatever works for you, but if it is a wall calendar, is go, right, I'm going to commit to, the first and third week or the first and second week of every month or whatever it is, on such and such day, we're going to do an email, and then decide on that, and then go through and look at what are the events of the year, when's Easter, when's, summer holidays, when's Valentine's Day, whatever, hot rod show, mark them all down, and then, make a list. And then you can then plot them out and go, okay, well, so this one here is going to be about the hot rod shows coming up, or has just been, or whatever. And do that. And if you start breaking it down, we're talking about maybe if you do it twice a month, 24 a year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No.
And when you start thinking about it with adding in, your holidays, all those sort of special activities, that will start to fill up a lot of what you need anyway.
Yeah.
And you can always do extra ones on top of that. So say, you might decide, right, we want to do a special promotion, anyone that brings the wheels in this week, we're going to give them 10% off or whatever. You can then add those in as an extra. But you've got your cores there, your infrastructure's there, you've got your system in place. You can always add in here and there as it suits, but at least you've got your basics in place.
And it's also too, we get a lot of quite passionate customers coming in, and they just cannot believe, like somebody sitting at this table, we did their wheels.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And you just could not believe what the result was. So, hey mate, do you mind if I do a little video on you and what you've done? And a lot of people, great.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome to do that.
Yeah, and as I said before, with email marketing, it can have a direct, positive impact on the value of your business. Firstly, it can help you generate additional sales, which can lead to increasing the profitability of your business. Obviously, that's fairly obvious. And the thing with that though is that once you know how to do it, it's free. So unless you upgrade your plan with your provider, such as MailChimp, it's free. If you're currently on the free plan, if your database gets that big, you can always bump it up, but it's still not prohibitively expensive at all. So your cost really, therefore, is only your time. So it's an incredibly cheap form of marketing. It shouldn't be your only form of marketing, but it should be part of what you do. And when you consider how cheap it is, it's just a no-brainer, and it baffles me how so few people do it. And from your point of view, given that not that many people do it, and certainly high probability your competitors don't do it, you've got to jump on them straight away because you're doing something that they are not. But the other thing too is that an up-to-date database represents future potential income, which makes your business more attractive when you come to sell it as well. By keeping that database up to date, which you have to, in terms of using, someone such as MailChimp, in order to do that, it means that you've got to be disciplined. And when you come to sell the business, people are going to, be aware that you've got an up-to-date database. A really good idea, you're making money off it, there's potential to make more money off it. They might have other ideas of other things. So, for instance, they might think that they could, do more email marketing than what you're doing, or that they might have other products that you currently haven't sold to on your database that they could sell to. So a database in itself is worth money. So really, there's a lot of compelling reasons why you should be doing it. And I don't think there's a lot of reasons why not to do it, so long as you can address the issue of how to learn, and how to learn while running your small business. Because when you're a small business owner, typically you're busy, and you want to be able to learn to do these things, but it not to be so onerous that it actually puts you off. I think that's what can happen often is people, have opportunities to maybe learn things, but they just don't find the time to do it.
That's where your little videos are good.
Yeah, and now the other thing which I haven't mentioned, which if you do have a problem with finding the time, is I've got a free course online. If you go to the website, it's called the Q2 program. If you ever do feel like I don't have enough time in the day, go take that course. It doesn't take too long. It's over a few days. We send you out the information as required, and it will really highlight to you how you don't use all of your time effectively. There is time in the day where, if you're honest, you actually are wasting it.
What you're saying is that how much time you actually have got, really.
You've actually got more time than you think.
Yes.
And people, we say often we're busy, and often we feel comfortable being busy, but a lot of time that busyness is not quality. And if you were actually to remove some of that busyness that's actually not productive, then you've actually got a lot more time than you realise.
Utilising your time to the max,
So if you do ever feel like that, just go take the program. It costs you nothing, and it's a really good way to point out to you how much time you actually are wasting, and how if you're a bit more efficient with your time, a bit more disciplined in management of your day, you'd actually have a lot more time. And it's important that you spend that time working on your business.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about learning email marketing, is you're working on your business. You're working on ways in which to make your business more successful, rather than being consumed in the day-to-day with no time to do anything other than to survive. So I know a lot of small business owners feel like they're so busy that all they can do is survive each day. But I'm pretty confident that most, if not all of them, if they took the Q2 program, would realise that in actual fact, if they revisited their time management, they could actually create some time and then do some working on their business, doing things like this to help add value, which will ultimately make their life easier as well.
Yes.
So,
And it's your own time.
yes,
It's your own time
absolutely.
putting it in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I love your business, which, to date is already very successful. But if you commit to email marketing, I believe that you can actually create even more value with your business, which would be great to see. So it's not, for you, it's very much about you're already doing really well, but it can just take you that much higher.
Yes. Yeah.
Why not?
We always want to strive ahead. We always want to get a bit higher, a bit more business.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. I'd love to come and check in at a later date and see how much further you're advanced with your email marketing, but it's good to see you've made a great start and good to hear that it's been a positive experience for you. And if you could just push on with that, I'm sure that it'll become a way of life for you and you won't look back.
Yep. Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you
It's
for your
awesome
time.
point. Yeah, it's great.